Hello there, I'm Robert McKay. Of course, this is Whiskey for Beginners, a thoroughly amateur production, and this is the 36th and last of the Whisky Basics videos. You see my hair. It's slicked back except over here where it won't slick back. I just got out of the shower literally less than 10 minutes ago as I sit here. I am making my second video of the night. I don't know how long it's been since I made multiple videos within, say, a 12-hour period, and this is just 3 or 4 hours, I guess. But I have the time right now. This is the last of the Whisky Basics videos in which I'm rebuilding the whole thing. And if you can put up with my hair, I am going to knock this out and get it out of the way and go back to my usual recording schedule. We always start off by pouring some whiskey. As Popcorn said, Sutton said, some wiki. Although, of course, he was referring to unaged liquor. This is Jack Daniel's single barrel proof. That means it's one barrel. Everything in this bottle everything in this bottle came from one barrel, along with however many other bottles the barrel yielded. It is this barrel proof. Whatever proof it come out of the barrel is what this is. In this case, 129.4. If the only Jack Daniels you know is the black label, the old number 7, you don't know Jack Daniels. That stuff is weak and watery, and the best thing you can say about it is it's not bad. This is superb. Oh, I love that smoky nose. The question that I'm going to answer to finish off the Whisky Basics series, and I'm just using the same questions that I used originally a couple of 3 years ago. My allergies have not improved in that time. The question I'm going to ask and then answer is this: can you get good whiskey at an affordable price? You know, you can say low price, inexpensive price, budget price, reasonable price, and however you want to put it. And the answer is yes. Now, this bottle was $58.99, which is down a few bucks from the previous bottles I've had, but it's still $59. Now, there are people to whom a $59 bottle is nothing. I'm not one of them. You may not be one of them. And if you're just starting out in whiskey, you don't really want to spend $59, $69, $70, $80, $100 for a bottle of whiskey that you don't know whether you're going to like it. Now, there are ways to find out. You can go to bottle shares, you can go to various online forums where people trade samples. You can try it at a bar. Those avenues exist, but if you don't have a ton of money, those avenues may not always be feasible for you. You may be left with buying things. And so at least when you're first starting, even if you have a large budget, you might still want to try inexpensive things to see what you like, if nothing else. But the answer is yes, you can get inexpensive whiskey. I don't normally do this, but I have 3 other bottles here that I want to present. This is Baby Blue corn whiskey from Balcones Distilling. This particular bottle is straight corn whiskey. It aged At least 24 months in oak, so it's a 2-year-old whiskey. The minimum to be a straight whiskey. Balcones, because of their climate, has not been aging their corn whiskey that long until just now. This is 92 proof, and it cost, it's almost rubbed off, $39.99. So this is a $40 bottle. And I think it's well worth it. $40 is not bad. In fact, it's pretty cheap. There is whiskey out there not near this good for more. I'm not going to ignore my JDSBBP, Jack Daniel's Single Barrel Proof. It's one of those noses I could just keep on nosing all night. Next, and you might have heard of this one or seen it, you might already have tried it, Knob Creek 9-year. It's from Jim Beam. There is a whole line of Knob Creek. They have the 9-year, they have 12, they have 15, they have an 18. Now they've come out with a 21-year. They also have a maple. I don't know if it's maple flavored or if they finished it in maple barrels. I'm not aiming to try that. They have barrel picks at 120 proof. This is 100 proof. They have single barrel releases at 100 proof. But Knob Creek is good bourbon. If I could only drink this 9-year for the rest of my life, it would not hurt my feelings none at all. It's not as good as this, not as good as the Jack Daniel's Single Barrel Proof. There are various other things it's not as good in, but I can tell you, this is better than a lot of more expensive and more highly sought after whiskeys. This bottle was $29.99, so $30 for a fifth of good bourbon. I've been drinking whiskey 4 years. I like proof, but that first sip, once I swallowed and breathed, that proof is there. It got hot at that point. Jack Daniel's Single Barrel Proof. It'll be a bit much for new... my setup was getting in my way there, or I was getting in the way of the setup. The proof would be a bit much for newbies, but you can work your way into it. As I said, I have a third bottle over here. This is Smoke Wagon Desert Colt. It is 57.29 proof. That's 114. I can't do the math in my head. It's over 114 proof. But this is a fairly cheap bottle. This was only $42.99, $43. Now, when I say inexpensive, when I say cheap, when I say budget, whatever term I use, there are cheaper whiskeys, but I don't have them to show you. So I grabbed these three, and then I'll talk about some others. This is a contract distilled thing. The brand does not distill its own whiskey. They're in Las Vegas, but their whiskey comes from Lawrenceburg, Indiana, the big MGP distillery. Then they age it there in Nevada. You can always tell somebody who doesn't know how Westerners pronounce things. They talk about Oregon when it's Oregon, and they talk about Nevada when it's Nevada. Kind of like Southerners, or excuse me, Yankees who don't know how to pronounce Southern places. You know, you get Well, I'm not coming up with anything. Okay, that was a bit of wax on the back of the Knob Creek. It has a wax seal, and I hate the wax seal. I'm not coming up with anything off the top of my head, but there's a county in Texas called Montague County. And Yankees will think it's Montague. We have a town called Mejia, and Yankees all the time think it's Mexia, but it's Mejia. They'll look at San Jacinto and think it's San Jacinto, or in Spanish it would be San Jacinto, but in Texan it's San Jacinto. But anyway, that's a digression. It's a rabbit trail I done chased a ways. This is fully worth, what did I say it was, 43 bucks? 43 bucks, $42.99. This is fully worth that price. It is good. If you're not used to proof, yes, it will be more than you're ready for. But it's good. It doesn't drink hot. This really doesn't drink hot at whatever I said, 129.2 or whatever. And I've had Jack Daniel's single barrel proof up to 134 point something, and it doesn't drink hot. I've had lower proof stuff drink hotter. And I have a video in this series on hot whiskey, so you can go look at that. I don't have a way to stick it up on the screen like the not so thoroughly amateur folks do. But that's 3 bottles that I have on hand that, at least relatively speaking, don't cost an arm and a leg. But as I say, there are others. Where am I at? Just coming up on 13 minutes, so I got me some time. There's Evan Williams Bottled in Bond. That is no more than 25 bucks, and the last few bottles I've had were under 20. But it's a bottled in bond whiskey. I have a video on that as well. Meaning that it's aged at least 4 years in a bonded government warehouse, and it's 100 proof. But this Evan Williams Bottled in Bond does not drink hot at all. If you handed it to me blind, maybe I would recognize it. Some people can recognize the distillery and the whiskey blind. I can't. I might recognize it. But it doesn't drink hot. If you were drinking it blind, you would not know that it's 100 proof. But it's a good dark it's a good whiskey with dark notes to it. And so if you like dark notes, and you may not even have figured that out for yourself yet, because you have to figure it out for yourself. Some whiskeys are bright, some are dark, some are fruity, some are woody, some are oaky, some are this, some are that. And every palate's different too, so I'm giving you what I find in these things. Somebody else might find something different. Please understand that. But all I can do is tell you what I know from my own experience. Another good one, if you're ready for that 100 proof area, is Wild Turkey 101. It's a $20-$25 bottle, at least here in Albuquerque. It is 101 proof, but it's another dark. Well, it used to be darker than it is now. They had a little bobble in 2024, about a year ago now. The quality sank through the floor, but then they brought the quality back up, but it came back as a brighter, fruitier whiskey. But it's good, and the price is certainly affordable. You're not going to find a better whiskey at that price. You're not going to find a lower price that's as good, I don't believe. Well, maybe Evan Williams Bottled in Bond, right? Old Forester 100 is in that general price range. It's another dark whiskey, not just in color, but in the profile. And it's very good. For a little bit different experience, you can go to George Dickel, which is a Tennessee whiskey. It's been a while since I've had either the number, I'm just going to call them by the label colors because they've changed what's actually on the label. It's been a long time since I had the black label. It's been a while since I had the white label. But this is a whiskey that gives you a nutty profile. It tastes like pecans to me. It's good. It's if I remember right, the black label's 80 proof and the white label's 90. They also have a bottled in bond, which is $35 or so, and that gives me walnuts. But it's 100 proof. All bottled in bond is 100 proof. Oh, what else is there? Oh, my very favorite whiskey on earth, which I don't have a bottle of right now. The last bottle I had down towards the end developed this really unpleasant chemical taste. I think maybe it had got corked, and I was getting into the beginning of it. But, and so I haven't gone back and got another bottle, especially since for me, my car won't go in reverse. It's a stick. I had planned to get transmission work on it this year. Other things intervened. So it's a difficulty for me to get to that particular liquor store that carries it. But it's Balcones Texas Pot Still Whiskey, my favorite whiskey on all the world. And if you're new to whiskey, don't let people scare you off of it. Try it. Maybe you won't like it. Maybe you'll find that you agree with the people who told you not to. But there were people telling me not to try it. I did anyway. It instantly became my favorite whiskey, and it still is. It used to be a $30 bottle. Now it's down to $28. To get whiskey that good for that price is about like finding a 20-pound gold nugget when you're digging in your garden. If I hadn't experienced it for myself, I wouldn't believe it. Sweet and spicy and smoky all to once. And the heat got me that time. You could probably hear it in my voice. Okay, not quite at 19 minutes yet. Another one, and I could have hauled this out of my storage, but I satisfied myself with 3 bottles. Wild Turkey Rye, 101 proof rye whiskey. This is, I believe it's a $25 bottle that I got. It's a barely legal rye. It's only 51% rye and the rest is corn and barley. But this is one of the best rye whiskeys I've ever had. Now, I'm a bourbon guy. I like corn whiskey if it's good. I occasionally like something Scottish or Irish. Sometimes I like a rye, but I'm a bourbon guy. But so when I say this is one of the best rye whiskeys I've had, the competition is not large. But this is the only whiskey, this Wild Turkey Rye, that has ever given me orange marmalade, and I get it on the nose, on the palate, and on the finish. And for that unusual of a note to carry through from beginning to end of a sip is highly unusual. It's nice and it's sweet. If you know what you're looking for, you can detect the rye in there. Excuse me. But it doesn't have the spiciness that most people get from rye. It doesn't have the dill note that a lot of people get from rye. I've only picked it up once. It doesn't have the leafy and mineral notes that for me are the most common or the most decided characteristics of rye whiskey. It's very good. There's Old Granddad, which comes in an 80 proof, a bottled in bond. They call it bonded, bottled in bond, same thing. Which is of course 100 proof, and then there's the Old Granddad 114, which is 114 proof. If you're new, you probably don't want to tackle that. But this is a bright, fruity whiskey, and even the 114 is only 30, 35 bucks, somewhere around in there. That's another one I could have dragged out of my storage, but decided to just go with these three. And behind me on the radio, you probably can't hear it, they're playing one of the few John Mellencamp songs I like. I can't remember the name of it, but it has that line, "When the walls come tumbling down." And when I first heard it, I thought it was the Rolling Stones. It sounds like a Stones song. But anyway, I'm not going to go on. I could tell you about more whiskeys that are at least relatively inexpensive, affordable, low price, whatever. And of course, your definition of low price might be higher than mine, or it might be lower. We all have different palates, and we all have different financial situations. Until 2025, this year, I could not contemplate buying this at all regular, and I've had 2 or 3 this year of this whiskey. Until 2025, 40 bucks was my ceiling unless it was a special occasion and or I had unexpected fundage. But my financial situation has improved, even with the things that kept me from getting the transmission work, and so I can afford higher priced stuff than I used to could. You may still not be able to afford some of the stuff I can. Or you may find that $100 for a bottle or $200 is not going to be a pull. But if you're thinking, is there any such thing as inexpensive whiskey that is good whiskey? Yes, there is. I've made some recommendations. Whether they will suit your palate, obviously, I don't know. But you can at least try them. You can find people whose palates do agree with yours, see what they recommend in this category, and you can enjoy whiskey without spending an arm and a leg, without having to sell your firstborn. On that note, I'm going to move this. This is a chunky bottle. It's not as heavy as a Frey Ranch bottle. I emptied a Frey Ranch 4-grain bourbon bottle just last night, and empty, it weighed about 22 pounds. At any rate, I went further than I thought, but that's okay. This is the last one of these. I'm done rebuilding. Thank you for being here. As Casey Allen of Beautiful Bourbon says, you could have been doing anything else. And yet you're watching me sit here and mutter and maunder and babble and blither, and who knows? If you got something good out of it, maybe your time wasn't a waste after all. To all of you, to all of y'all who put up with me, to the 70 subscribers who put up with me, I really appreciate you. Cheers.